Good presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Kostas. Now this is the part where you do the heavy lifting, okay? So I want to see hands in the air and people asking for the floor. If I do that, I can even see you actually. So who wants to break the ice and ask the first question? Please, madam. Oh, yeah. This is Cosgrave. That's right. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yes, good afternoon. Bridget Cosgrave. I'm here in my capacity as non-executive director of Cinch, the Swedish global customer engagement platform. My question for the existing chairman and new incoming chairman, madam, is how will the BEREC work program for 2023 take into consideration the new world order in which we are as a result of the Ukraine-Russian war?
Is it okay that I first reflect on Ukraine? Because thank you very much for that question. I'm also, with Kostas, very happy and excited that we're here together. But I do think it is good to mention the world outside and the situation and the war in Ukraine. I can tell you that at present, we have, of course, seen a huge steps towards action by the operators to make sure that we restore connectivity with Ukraine. And we have, from our BEREC side, been involved in reaching out to both our Ukrainian partner and CEC, with whom we already had intensive working relations with the Commission, but also been interacting with all the operator associations. And I think that as a telecoms community, we are really rising to the occasion in helping roaming. And we are preparing further analysis to make sure that we all help and support to the people who had to flee Ukraine to make sure that they can reach out to their loved ones. That's just to recognize, I think, the important role that we can play. And thanking all of you, all of this in this room who have been with us in coordinating and discussing, because of course the situation is really horrific. I didn't expect this to be a witness to these events. But as I said, I'm really happy to be part of a connectivity community that helps do what they can to restore communications between people, because that is vital also in times of war. Regarding the work program, I will now pass on to Kostas.
Well, just to add on this, as I said, so far we have the outline of work program 2023, and with regards to mandatory carryover projects and quality-related projects, we have already identified the projects for work program 2023, but we have the 30% future work projects that is still open. And there, depending on the situation, we will evaluate, we will see whether we need to add extra work related also to this situation with Ukraine.
Thank you very much, Kostas. Annemarie, who wants to be next? Otherwise, I ask about 0 rating, so you choose. Huh? Please, don't be shy. Otherwise, I could also designate speakers. Huh? Yeah, Luc Hendricks from EETT. Thank you, Luc.
Thank you very much. So I'm Luc Hendricks, representing the Director General of EETT. Thank you very much for organizing this Stakeholder Forum, and also thank you very much for the morning session, because the morning session is really about the core activities of what defines the reason to exist of BEREC. So that was quite very important. And we understood also from the discussion this morning that there are some very important topics that will be addressed in the work program this year and next year. So, for example, the work streams on the regulatory treatment of business services, the study on business services, and all those kind of things. You will also have the opinion on the review of the access recommendation. A copper switch off becomes the most relevant topic as we really enter into the real substance. And all those subjects are subjects that we cannot discuss in a few minutes, so that necessitate, in fact, ground reflection and profound debate with the stakeholders. And my question to BEREC is, in which forum will we organize those kind of discussions, and to make sure that we look forward? And the second point that I would like to mention is that the list of relevant markets is not a KPI, so as some would like to present it, and it's not because we come from 80 market to 2 market that's a sign that the regulatory framework has worked well, because you do not conclude that there are no crimes when decriminalizing in the law. And we also really invite, when you look at the work stream, BEREC ought to look at markets that are not in the list anymore. And the second question I have on that is that when there would be phase 2 cases of what we have recently have, could BEREC, or which way could BEREC avoid that we arrive to a phase 2 where there is in fact a BEREC opinion that disagree or agree with the Commission and disagree with the regulator, and can BEREC not work upstream to make sure that we create at the very beginning results where when the regulators notifies, he already knows that his opinion or his market analysis is shared by BEREC.
Thank you very much, Luc. So, will there be mini fora on specific issues? 2 markets doesn't mean you've done your job, regulators. And then how can we improve market analysis? I think these are three questions. Who wants to?
Maybe to start first, there is of course a sound tradition of public consultations. But that is often, as already Kostas also mentioned, that is often, depending on the topic, depending on the phase of the analysis, the expert working groups often organize separate sessions. They organize open workshops. They have a whole set of instruments depending on the topic at hand to make sure that we continue the involvement with stakeholders. So I think that also, that is this year, and that is I think next year as well. It depends very much on the topic, and on basically also what is practically feasible and physically possible to make sure that we have that interaction. And I think we're still very committed to doing that. On your last part, I think the way that we work together in BEREC is, as NRAs, we try to reach a coherent system of regulation where we all work under the same electronic communications code, and to make sure that we all contribute to the workings of the European single market. Having said that, we all work as NRAs in separate national markets with different starting points, be it on geography, be it on topology of the networks, be it on the market situation. And in that respect, the rules of the game are very simple. An NRA assesses its own market, and it uses the code and also the guidelines and the practices and the measurements that we have developed. In addition to this, we also have, of course, our working groups, and we have all our reach out and internal dialogue to help each other to learn and to develop best practices. So all that collective action, wisdom, explicit or implicit, is offered and used by an NRA, which then assesses its own market and gets into a discussion with the Commission. So yes, we are working upstream, and sometimes there is a difference of opinion between an NRA and a Commission. I think that is healthy, that you have a discussion, and sometimes that results in a phase 2. I personally do not see that as a flaw in the system. I see that as a logical next step, that we as BEREC not only upstream, but also along the way can give an opinion.
Well, with regards to discussing the core issues of our work, those may be already discussed this morning in the meet and greet sessions. Of course, we cannot cover all topics in adequate detail in a single-day event as the forum, but we are, as I said in my presentation, we are always open to interaction with our stakeholders at any point. So if you feel that we should discuss certain point, certain issue in more details, we can always consider organizing, for example, a special workshop to discuss, or have a special meeting to discuss a specific topic. We cannot cover everything in a single day. What we tried to do today was to have some more detailed discussion on core topics this morning in the meet and greet sessions, and have some more forward-looking future issues discussion this afternoon in the forum itself. But of course, we cannot cover everything in a single-day event, but we are always open and committed to interaction with our stakeholders.
Thank you, Kostas and Marie. Next question, please. There was, yes, Aurélie from Orange. Go ahead, Aurélie. Do you have a mic? Could we bring a mic to Aurélie, please?
Thank you for your presentation and for this forum, which is very interesting, including this morning session with the BEREC Chair of the working group. I saw on your slide that there was an item for next year on the WACC methodology, which is a very important parameter for regulated products. And I was wondering whether you could tell us a bit more on what you intend to do. Is it a review of the methodology? Is it a review to better take into account the current inflation rates that are very impacting the outcome of the methodology? Thank you.
Well, I believe this is a carryover project of this year or a mandatory one for next year. So it will require preparation at working group level, exactly to see what is going to be addressed in this context for next year. So I think I cannot give further details for this one at this stage.
Annegret is perhaps still in the wall, so that would be, I don't know whether she's in the room. Thank you. Thank you for the question, Aurélie, and thank you, Kostas. In the corridors, I met a couple of people who had questions on sustainability. Anton from Deutsche Telekom. Go ahead, Anton.
You could have left it here. Popular table. Anton Horschko, Deutsche Telekom. Indeed, we are looking forward very much to the dedicated session on sustainability today in the afternoon. And it's becoming increasingly clear that from a sort of a standalone topic that's slowly but very steadily migrating towards becoming a component part of the core regulatory agenda, like access questions, like symmetric access, S&P, and so on and so on. But nevertheless, we have a good impression about the draft report because at least that's why we read it at the moment. It's still talking or indicating more rather carrots than sticks in terms of how the sustainability will be promoted. So there are more mentions of encouraging, motivating, and so on, rather than introducing, constraining, and so on. And still, my question, from your internal discussions, to the extent you feel it's possible to share it in this forum, what is your feeling whether even midterm that could likely stay, that we'll see more encouragement, more best practice sharing rather than some sort of a hard intervention, or that would gradually shift towards more ex-ante remedies of some sort?
Who wants to tackle
Deutsche
that question?
Telekom asking for us to impose sticks to further sustainability? I'd be happy to take that.
Your mindset.
I'd be happy to take that suggestion on board. No, I think you're right that this is a preliminary discussion. Actually, Kostas and I are having a debate who is going to answer this question, because I think sustainability is very close to our hearts on both sides. But as you said, this is the first study that is presented today, and the work is very much ongoing, and we're very aware that we are at the beginning of a learning curve. Maybe you want to add?
Yeah, exactly. Today we present the results of the first actions of BEREC towards sustainability. We will present our report, our study, and we have also a relevant report. So this is the starting point. I think for us it is quite early to say whether we go for an enforcement-oriented approach or for an incentives-oriented approach. But of course, we believe sustainability is part of electronic communications, is something that is quite relevant for BEREC, for electronic communications regulators. So we will keep our work towards this, and maybe in the future we will identify the right approach for intervention for sustainability. But we know that, of course, ICT sector's contribution to sustainability, CO2 emissions, and also energy dissipation is important. So it is quite relevant, and it will be an ongoing, continuous work for BEREC.
Thank you. Thank you, Kostas. Who wants to be next? There is 3 minutes left, and then Roberto will be there. So it's now or never. No, it's all right. You've got time. But do it now. Yes, there is a hand. Okay, yes, Henk Manneke. Henk, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Henk Mannekens from EETT DigiWorld. The Commission have quite a big program funding in relation to cross-border corridors and connectivity, so which are in a way international, let's say, challenges. And so my question is, to what extent, how will BEREC be involved in possible facilitating the deployment of these services, and in case of cross-border problems?
I think that the corridors are part and parcel of course, also the Commission's work on promoting the rollout of very high-capacity networks, as I understand. But as Philippe already said, Roberto will be with us in a minute, so you can ask him here yourself. So this has to do with the rollout and the coverage obligations, and also with a part that on the state aid and on the recovery funds that are being distributed by the Commission to the various member states, and where sometimes you would have to make sure that you have these corridors, would have multiple countries working together to make sure that such a corridor is created. What we at BEREC can do is we are envisaged to have a role in the mapping when it comes to the state aid guidelines. We, of course, a lot of NRAs have also within their remit the spectrum assignments, or spectrum distribution, and also sometimes coupled with that coverage obligations that they monitor and enforce. So what is very necessary here is that at a national level, or sometimes at a multinational level, this is all coordinated. And this is also, I think, why we as BEREC said in our position, our opinion on the state aid guidelines, that it is very important that the NRA has a role in also all the national rollout projects to make sure that all these ambitions are aligned. Because we do understand the ambitions on corridors, and it is very important that the luring and the incentivizing of investments that is needed is aligned with our regulatory approach. So this is how we try to help to make sure that all these programs are working towards the same direction, taking into account the market dynamics at play.
Thank you. Annemarie. Kostas, you want to?
Yeah, just to add on this. For example, we all know, for example, the projects by European Commission on 5G corridors. And there, I would see 2 main issues: spectrum availability across the countries that will be connected through these cross-border corridors, plus regulatory framework to allow fast rollout of the network, has to do with base station licensing, etc. So these are issues that BEREC has been looking also in the past. So from that point of view, many issues, many problems concerning these cross-border corridors have been already addressed by our studies and work in the previous years.
Thank you, Kostas. That will be the final word for this Q&A. Roberto will be with us in a minute. Thank you very much, Annemarie and Kostas.